curation has been great. The performances, the workshops, everything has been great. My name is Mehul, and this is...
Hi, I'm Seher, and we're from Bare Necessities. Thank you so much for joining us on this session. And so excited to talk trash with you all.
So we have a brief presentation that we're going to walk you through. And then there's obviously like a DIY that we end with. So let me just share my screen and let me know when you guys can see my screen. Cool.
Looks good.
Sounds good. So yeah, so today we're just going to walk you through zero waste lifestyles, and it's a brief presentation, all your questions answered on how to be more mindful and sustainable. So during this, just as an outline, we're going to firstly give you a quick brief on Bare Necessities, and that's not because of anything like marketing or sales. It's just more like know who's talking to you and who's teaching you about what's going on today, just so you can put a picture behind it. Then what does sustainable zero waste lifestyle mean? Waste management and the global garbage crisis that we're currently in. We're also going to talk through this framework called waste logging, and we have a couple of questions for you guys that you can then use to log your waste. Practical lifestyle changes that we can make instantly, to be honest, and then debunking some myths that surround zero waste as well, which make zero waste as a concept very overwhelming. So we're just here to tell you that it's not that overwhelming. And then there's some frequently asked questions that we constantly get as well. So we're happy to address those, and then we'll open it up for question and answer, along with a DIY. And I don't think we've ever mentioned the DIY throughout these kind of teasers and all these things. So the DIY is actually how to make your own toothpaste. And we'll talk more about it, about why we do this the way we do it. So yeah, quick brief on Bare Necessities. We are a social enterprise located in Bangalore, India. We have a wide range of products, or zero-waste products, from personal care, home care, and lifestyle, along with the packaging being completely recyclable or compostable and eco-friendly. We also tap into the online course and online education aspect of things with 2 courses, Zero Waste in 30 and one upcoming Sustainability in 30. Just to make education as accessible as possible. And then recently, especially during the lockdown, we tried to do some kids initiatives. So we have a board game, we have activity books, and we also have playing cards as well that come with tons of facts. And so yeah, zero waste playing cards. So check us out if you would like. And then we also do talks and workshops similar to this with schools, institutions, corporates, and things like that.
All right, so I'm going to start with a few questions that we get asked a lot. So what does sustainable zero waste even mean? And this notion of zero waste can be slightly intimidating, slightly scary, might sound overwhelming, but to just break it down really for you is that the idea that we can live this lifestyle that's rooted in zero waste philosophies that essentially helps us transition to lifestyle that is just very supportive of community health and justice. So it's one where we try and minimize our waste to as little as possible. So while zero might sound a little crazy, the idea is just to kind of, shoot for the moon and maybe you'll land up in the stars. So while it's an ambitious goal, it's just basically to say to reduce our waste as little as possible that will land up in the incinerators or in our oceans and our landfills. So the next question I get asked a lot is, do my actions even make a difference? I mean, especially with environmental issues, you talk about climate change, and you look at all of these statistics, we only have like 6 to 10 years to go, and IPCC report is out, and the unprecedented rate at which the ice caps are melting. But honestly, that's just one plastic straw, just one plastic toothbrush that 7 billion people. So don't underestimate the amount of the power that we as consumers have in order to kind of make decisions and really kind of move mountains in this era, so in this realm of sustainability. So our actions definitely have an impact, and actually by visualizing your waste through this webinar, hopefully you can actually visualize the impact that you're making on climate change, on reducing your waste. Sorry, was that a question or anything? No? Okay. So why, when, and how should I start? Well, the best time was 20 years ago. The second best time is right here, right now, at this film festival, at this workshop. So let's get started. So we're currently living through the largest global garbage crisis of our lifetime. So in the pandemic, most countries, the amount of waste that they're reportedly producing in a year, they actually produced within the first 2 months of the pandemic. So we're living through just insane, unprecedented times. And over here, we're not trying to discount plastic because we know that plastic has actually done lots of things in terms of making food accessible to millions of people. It also allowed women actually to enter the workforce, because now we were getting, a bunch of food kind of pre-packaged, and that didn't mean that we needed to be at home and cook all the time, and really allowed women to enter the workforce. But we've moved greatly from the kind of pre-post World War II era, and we know so much more about plastic. So today we're going to talk about how we can kind of reduce the single-use plastic in our lifestyle and why it matters, and how you can be part of the solution.
Cool. So I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of why this problem currently exists of single-use plastic and waste management, and how waste is currently managed majorly. So this is obviously in an Indian context. So as you can see here, I'm just going to hover my mouse over where I'm going. So typically someone wants to keep their house super clean, and they keep their house clean. They put all the trash, all the garbage in a trash bin, and then they toss it out. Someone comes and cleans it, but because it's not segregated, it ends up on the side of your streets in a big dump, which you guys probably see when you're going to work or you're just on your daily commutes. So then what happens is someone like the small rickshaws that typically cannot even cope up with the amount of waste out there commutes this waste to a smaller landfill. Here, waste pickers or waste warriors, as we like to call them, use their bare hands and really no tools, to be honest, to pack this waste into a larger truck, as you can see here. This larger truck, again, since it's not segregated waste, takes it to a larger landfill where actually it just sits there. And we know all about landfills, I bet. Technically, like while it sits in the landfill as mixed waste, it just rots and more methane is generated along with chemicals leaching into our groundwater. While you come back here, there's obviously local scrap dealers who collect valuable pieces of waste from these dumps. So imagine if we were to segregate, it would make their lives easier as well. And they take them to small kind of aggregators. So when they take them to aggregators, here it's recycled further or it's cleaned, things like that, so that it can be brought back to the marketplace. But one thing to note, it is not brought, the plastic or the material is not brought back in the same quality as it was when you bought it the first time. So it's been downcycled. So when we say recycling, it is being downcycling pretty much. So while that is a solution, it is still a short-term solution when you put it into perspective. So after this, it goes into factories because it has to obviously recycle it and make it into something. And these factories typically are factories that, there's going against labor laws, for instance. There's small square footage and everyone's close together, especially during the pandemic. This has probably happened. There's been lots of health crisis, labor law crisis, environmental crisis, and obviously they don't meet maybe emission standards. So what that leads to is air pollution, and it also leads to, again, more chemicals leaching into the groundwater. So at the end of it, we all think this problem doesn't impact us because it's far away from our one home over here because we keep our homes clean. But when you really think about it, these chemicals that are leaching into the air, into the environment, all that goes back into our farms, all that goes back into the markets where we're buying our vegetables. And at the end of the day, as you can see, this lady here, she's buying her vegetables, not knowing that all this has happened behind the scenes, and she's walking home just to restart this cycle again. So we don't know all this and we just want to keep the house clean, but actually it's so important to realize that there's so much happening behind the scenes and it's coming back to our plates, our health. And if you're someone who's not inclined up to caring about the environment, then at least think about your personal well-being and realize that it's all kind of interconnected and interlinked.
Thanks, Mehul, for teaching us all about those trash trails. Okay, so now we keep hearing about this concept called circular economy, right? Again, what is circular economy in the first place? So currently we're living in this world where we produce lots of things like single-use plastic bottles or little sachets of food, snacks, detergents, whatever, which is traditionally a linear style or linear form of economy, right? In which we take something, we make, and we dispose at this crazy, unprecedented rate. And the economic system actually works in a way that kind of incentivizes that we buy more and we dispose more. So a circular kind of economy is one that is extremely regenerative. It's one that really kind of mirrors biological cycles and technical cycles. There are kind of two cycles. And essentially, this is one where we are really kind of talking about restoring community health justice. We are designing waste out of the system, and we're looking at how we can reuse materials as much as possible. And circular economy is not just a way in which, how we buy and consume products, but it also kind of takes into factors things like how we design something, how we manufacture something, how do we get it to end users. So it's just more holistic. So let's break it down. One of my favorite examples of circular economy is the Mumbai Dabbawalas. So we're all familiar with them. Amazing home cooked healthy meals getting delivered to like 2 lakh Mumbaikars daily, producing over 6,000 amazing green jobs in the process. And of course, we all know that their margin of error is literally close to zero, and they're delivering all of these meals without producing any trash. Versus the linear model, which is the unnamed tech food startups of the world right now, that are delivering things in single-use plastic. So I think this time we are living in 2020 in a really kind of time that is important for us to really innovate on models, really marrying kind of the old and the new, and redefine new systems, one that are circular. All right.
Cool. So let's break it down. We're just going to toss a couple of facts at you so we can, again, put it into perspective and realize that it's not just about the cutlery or the straws that you're saying no to. There's more than that. That's kind of single-use plastic and harmful to the environment. So 90% of the toys within the market are plastic. And remember that plastic never decomposes fully. So there's actually these, I'll just stop sharing my screen because you can see the camera. There's actually these wonderful Chanapatna toys, if you want to talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's, yeah.
Amazing, using natural dyes, supporting local economy, local artisans in the town of Chanapatna, which is literally like 2 hours away from Bangalore, which we're all familiar with. So that's kind of a great alternative versus downcycled plastic, which is a lower grade plastic that is toxic and really kind of unsafe for kids to even be playing with in the first place.
Awesome. When you think about it, a lot of toys come in packaging as well. So it's really important to see the entire product for what it is.
Especially now when we're thinking about gifting toys to all of our nieces, nephews, or loved ones. So yeah. All right. So 40% of waste pickers are children under the age of 18 who become ill from living and working in toxic dump yards. So it's really, really important for us to be mindful that our waste problem is also a social justice issue. Just think about where incinerators or landfills are located. They're often in low-income countries. So lots of developing countries just merrily ship all of their waste to developing countries like India, Vietnam, China, Malaysia. Of course, in the past year or two, I'm sure we all have all read about how countries such as Malaysia just sent back a bunch of plastic waste to Canada, and China has stopped taking e-waste as well. But even in our own home country, think about when there is a dead cow in your neighborhood. It's often that poor Dalit woman who's picking it up, right? Or it's just communities, incinerators or landfills are just often in disproportionately low-income communities, whether it's in America, whether it's in a poor African-American community, or here in India as well. So really kind of understanding the layered lens of social justice issues associated with our waste problems is really important. So what can you do about it? As far as possible, just reduce your waste in the first place, and reuse things that you currently have, and then recycle last, and of course rewear your clothes. Those are just a few.
So another fact, again, in the Indian context, every day India generates more than 25,940 tons of plastic, which equates to the same weight as 9,000 Asian elephants. Once again, that's every day. So 9,000 Asian elephants weight every day. So again, this is something that we don't think about on a daily basis. We just think about our waste, but when it all accumulates, this is the amount of waste we're generating per day. So just a simple tip that you can do is, instead of using plastic pens, use ink pens or pencils. Nowadays, there's also pencils that are kind of have these, one second, you'll stop sharing. We have these pencils that are kind of like handmade using recycled paper. They come with seeds in the back as well. So once you're done using them, you can plant a seed, and it's kind of solving two problems at once. There's lots of innovation, obviously, that has to happen, and it's continuing to happen to make it as zero waste as possible. But it's important to support such initiatives, because then you're giving these initiatives the fuel to grow and grow into something bigger than what it is today. Go back to sharing.
Cool. Chemicals in plastic can cause cancer, heart failure, Alzheimer's. I mean, the list goes on. And often there are chemicals that are used in our personal care products that also have, huge amounts of SLS in it, which are known carcinogens. So really kind of by being aware about what's currently in our atmosphere packaging is a really great way to also just look after our health. And a super quick and easy one that we can all incorporate, of course, is carrying our own cloth bag. So an old workshop that we just did last weekend, we cut up an old t-shirt and made out a little tote bag for them. I think they can still see, right? Yeah. Cool. So carry your own cloth bag, which is super easy, and I'm sure most of you already do it, but
I think just to add to that, the pandemic as well, lots of people have been relying on plastic. We'll be talking about that a little bit more, but it just goes to show that the myth that says plastic is makes the pandemic life safer.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that plastic does have lots of other negative externalities to it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a process called waste logging. We also have kind of incorporated this into our online courses. Just a simple way to tackle your waste footprint by not making it overwhelming. So typically just go, what the process is, typically you just go through your week or a month or whatever defined time frame you have for yourself, go through that as a normal person. So maybe for a week, you just live life normally, segregate your waste like you are today, or not unsegregate your waste, whatever it is. And then write down the top 5 most waste producing areas in your life. So hopefully you are segregating your waste at this point. And what this allows you to do is, look, your organic waste or your wet waste would go into compost, but your dry waste is what we can really tackle in terms of waste footprint. So at the end of the week, you then look into this bin and get intimate with it. So you start looking into it, start taking things out, and start looking at what kind of waste you are generating. So maybe you'll find that there's a plastic toothbrush in there, or you'll find that there's soap boxes in there, or soap plastic packaging in there, or shampoo bottles in there. And you'll suddenly realize that, you know what, this is my a realistic goal that I can set for myself to tackle this waste. So maybe it's not, again, like Sarah mentioned, it's not about a one-day thing. You can then target and make realistic goals and say, you know what, I'll start with the shampoos or the toothpaste, and then I'll move on to the next, just so it is realistic and not daunting. The next part is how much waste and what type of waste do you produce? So you put numbers to it. And lastly, what are some realistic goals to reduce the waste you produce? So again, the realistic goals helps you break it down. And this is similar to anything we do in life. I think the concept that achieving a sustainable lifestyle or zero waste lifestyle is overwhelming. We don't know how to do it. It's something that we've just kind of said. But if you think about fitness or meal plans or your education or work, career goals, for all these things, we set realistic goals to achieve. And similarly, for a sustainable lifestyle, you just have to set realistic goals, and you'll find that it's not as hard as it seemed to be. So again, quick tips for us to start being part of the change. So let's start making the switch. The easiest is your personal care routine. And why? Because this is something you have in your control. So many times we hear that, my house might not be going zero waste, or my family might not be listening to me, or I really want to change. My parents might not want to change. Things like that is something that we hear often. So what can you do is not just give up. Think about what you have in your control. And that's what we have to stress on the most. So zero waste personal care wise, you can, so in terms of zero waste personal care, you can start using neem combs instead of plastic combs. And this allows you to, there's obviously plastic breaks. You've probably had combs that break into small little pieces, and these little pieces often get lost. And when I mean lost, it goes into landfills. You also have stainless steel tongue cleaners, for instance, that you can use. Bamboo toothbrushes, obviously, because of the plastic toothbrush. Now, many times we also get questions like, what about the bristles? What about the handle? But one thing to really say is, by just transitioning to a bamboo toothbrush, you're tackling 99% of the bamboo toothbrush pretty much. The entire handle is compostable. So when you think about it, the plastic toothbrush that you are using comes with grips, colors, a plastic body, and multi-layered plastics that cannot be taken apart to recycle. So really, really put that into perspective again when you are thinking, hey, should I transition to a bamboo toothbrush or not? Another thing is, make your own toothpaste. This is something we're going to be helping you with. Give up personal care products that usually come in plastic. So that could be like your shampoo bottles, and maybe you can transition to soaps that are made of recycled and compostable paper. And even within, for us, for instance, we use banana leaf to make sure that it stays intact. And then the do not use earbuds. So this is something that WHO has also said, that you shouldn't be putting something bigger than your elbow in your ear, actually. And then do you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. And you can also use menstrual cups for menstruating women. It is amazing. They've been using it since the 1920s with no negative health impacts associated with it. Essentially, once you're done using it for 15 or 10 years, you can just kind of burn it and it becomes like a sort of ash that you can put in your garden, compost it in a plant, really. And you can also save money. So, actually, going zero waste can have health benefits, environmental benefits, but also economic benefits. Because if you're spending about 200 rupees or 500 rupees per cycle, this is a 500 or 600 rupee investment one time. And then in your lifetime, you can save about 2 lakh rupees on a very conservative estimate. So yeah, go zero waste with your personal hygiene. And honestly, it's the first place where you can start. Another thing that I really like is stainless steel razors. And I think a lot of my girlfriends kind of tried it during the pandemic because everyone was kind of nervous to go to the parlors, etc. And it's amazing because you only need one for your lifetime, and you can save the blades and then kind of recycle them all together. So yeah, I think that's stainless steel razors are really amazing. I remember my grandfather and dad using it back in the day. So bringing them all back is super awesome. Another thing that we're going to talk about is home care. I mean, 95% of our time is spent indoors. And now with the pandemic, I'm going to say like 99% of our time is spent indoors. So it's really important to be cognizant of the environment in which we're living. For example, just the paint on our walls often have lots of chemicals that aren't really good. So you should look out for low VOC paints, which is low volatile organic compounds, in your paint, but also have tons of amazing plants. Aloe vera is great, peace lily is great, Z plants, spider plants, money plants, snake plants, mother-in-law's tongue. These are all really, really amazing house plants that purify the air and are also pretty super easy to maintain. So highly recommend them. Just planning ahead of time in terms of your laundry days could save water, but also energy, especially if you are using a clothes washer, laundry cleaner. But don't buy a dryer because it's just going to be e-waste in a few years and land up in the landfill. We're so lucky we have plenty of sunlight in India, so always air dry your clothes. Get creative and make your own kind of cleaners for home, or you can buy ones that support local economy. Just using even your old bamboo toothbrush to get in there with little edges, or coconut scrubbies for your dishes are really kind of good alternatives. So yeah, those are some quick ones, but also kind of using old t-shirts to wipe down things are a great alternative for your home, but also for the next one, which is kitchen. Composting your food waste is literally one of the best things that you can do for the environment. So yeah, one, we're segregating all of our waste, right? And then second, compost all of your waste. So this is a tiny khamba, which is basically made out of terracotta, and it has these adorable little holes in them that you can see. And they're not just for aesthetic value, they actually help your compost breathe and aerate and actually decompose. So just use, first a brown layer, which is like old leaves or even shredded cardboard or cocoa peat, and then put banana peels or really any organic waste. And then again, cover it back with a brown layer, which takes 30 seconds to do, honestly, and you can save 60% of your waste from going to the landfill by just composting. So this is literally one of the best things you can do. And you have different khambas of different sizes. So whether you live in an apartment or not, you can definitely find space for it. And it's good in local economy because again, these are all handmade by Indian artisans. So check out Daily Dump, but also equally hundreds of other enterprises out there on the internet. And then bringing back the cast iron instead of using non-stick. You just need like literally, I know friends who've had a cast iron in their family for like, across generations. But also kind of supporting local economy if you want to buy that pickle from the auntie in your building rather than kind of buying something that's store-bought, packaged in plastic, having a bunch of additional sodium and salt and things like that. Using ceramic containers to store things, reinventing your leftovers, going to the bakery and getting your bread, or supporting local economy and getting bread delivered to you, that's packaged in paper rather than plastic, or are all like really pretty easy and awesome swaps. Closet. I think we just communicate so much of who we are through our clothing, so it's so important to make those options ethical choices. And in India, of course, we have this khadi, ikat, handloom. There's literally like so many amazing art forms that each state celebrates through the artisans. So basically, just supporting local artisans, being more mindful of our choices, and picking slow fashion rather than fast fashion, because fast fashion is extremely polluting. On an average, the makers or producers of your clothes get paid only like 39 cents a garment, which is crazy and shocking. And even through the pandemic, lots of orders were cancelled last minute. Lots of them weren't paid. So really just being mindful of where your clothes are coming from, how much they got paid, what's even in the fabric. Does it have a bunch of microplastics? So is that just going to leach tiny pieces of plastics with every wash? So yeah, also just embrace hand-me-downs. I have two older sisters, so I love taking their hand-me-downs, wearing my nani sari to weddings, etc. So those are just a few quick and easy tips.
Yeah, so in terms of lifestyle and work, just putting it all together, like Seher mentioned, plan your day before you start. You're going to need water during the day. You're going to be drinking coffee. So carry a reusable water bottle, carry a reusable mug, carry your own cutlery and spoons and straws, so you don't have to say yes to plastic, single-use plastic out there, because there is no way to kind of get rid of it once it's done. Carry your own reusable shopping bag, as you mentioned, and give up bottled drinks, for instance, and instead, have fresh coconuts out there that are on the streets everywhere in India. So with your obviously reusable straw. Another thing is, you can use agarbattis or scented candles rather than aerosols that come in kind of cans. You can also pack your lunch in reusable containers. Cooking, like have a relationship with cooking, because it can be a skill to have. It's just fun to do. So cook your own meals, and then carpool if you can, or transition to public transport if you can. And that also helps in a huge way in terms of road congestion, but also the pollution that transportation can have.
And your own fitness goals.
and your own fitness goals. And then obviously, like you mentioned, replace your plastic pens with ink pens if you can't find kind of the seed pens, but you can also just transition to ink pens as well. So now we're just going to go ahead and talk about some myths that we come across a lot. So myth number 1, living a sustainable lifestyle is expensive. So fact check, completely false, because sustainable lifestyle doesn't mean you have to just go buy green products. It's a lifestyle, as we're kind of framing it, right? So the lifestyle means composting your waste you can do for free if you'd like at home, growing your plants, transitioning to DIYs, making things at home with ingredients at your home already, doesn't require any kind of expenses out of the regular expenses. So sustainable lifestyle is not expensive in that sense. When it's time to purchase something, as of now, a sustainable lifestyle might seem expensive, but that is because, like anything launching new sometime and has to grow a little bit, it starts off expensive because it has to be absorbed and accepted into a market. So the more we support such initiatives and such enterprises and such small businesses or NGOs or anything like that, we find that our support helps them grow. And when that grows, the scales improve, and then it becomes a more affordable lifestyle than it already is. Myth number 2. Is there a difficulty in switching? Too many swaps, time consuming, overwhelming? So just as we mentioned over the past kind of slides, it's not difficult to switch. There aren't too many swaps. It's not time consuming and it's not overwhelming. And why I say this is because you can tackle it one at a time, right? So if you have a plastic toothbrush, make it a goal by the end of the month or by the end of the week to transition to a bamboo toothbrush. Or think, okay, you have to use the existing plastic toothbrush till its end. So use the plastic toothbrush, but make a goal that my next toothbrush will be bamboo. So there is no difficulty in switching because the alternatives do exist, and we have Google. With the power of Google, you can literally find local alternatives near your home. Even things like neem sticks and miswak sticks that sell on locally everywhere are out there, and this is sells for only 20 rupees. So things like that do exist, and too many swaps wise. Once you make one swap and you realize why you're making that swap, you'll realize that it's not too many swaps, and you'll realize the power of your swap. So all of a sudden, the whole rhetoric and your mindset changes into why you're making these swaps. Time consuming. Honestly, I think it's the other way around. We live in this hustle of a lifestyle all the time, but instead, in terms of time, we need to slow down and become more mindful with everything we're doing. Right now, we're just like flying through our days. We want to achieve our goals. We want to become the biggest next thing. But actually, the enjoyable and the real things in life is just like being grateful of what you have today and slowing down to tackle certain things that you can change. Overwhelming, it's not. It's a fact check false. Like I mentioned, like I mentioned with the waist log, once you set realistic goals, like anything in life, again, like your fitness goals or anything, it's not overwhelming because it's a goal that you're just trying to achieve. My personal changes will not even make an impact. Fact check.
Yeah, I mean, we shape our economy, absolutely. I mean, we are voting with our dollars, our pockets, our rupees. So I think we are underestimating the power that actually us as consumers have. And of course, I think it is kind of, Mehul mentioned, but it's economies of scale, right? As more consumers ask for the right better alternatives, more manufacturers will actually create those, and actually more incentives will be created by government to make those companies alive and exist and thrive. So I think we have the power. We've got the power. Okay, myth number 2. Pandemic means more plastic and I need it for my health. This really does not apply. You can use masks that are made out of cloth. You can support local tailors and economies who are honestly struggling. There were no Diwali orders. People aren't going out. So our local tailors are struggling. So, support them. Call your Masood Pai who's made your Eid dresses since you were 5 and ask him to make you some masks. And wash them up with hot water. WHO says it's just as good. And also just food. I mean, oranges, you really don't need oranges in a clamshell box or in cling. If nature could only find a way to wrap itself, it has. So we really don't need lots of plastic excessively with food. So just be more mindful. Subscribe to small enterprise that you love, whether that is a small farm that will send you fresh produce weekly, or it is a sourdough baker, or any enterprise that you love. If it's plants, flowers, I mean, subscribe to small businesses that are trying to be part of the solution. And since we're not going out or eating as much, etc., I think this is a great way to help kind of support local economy that is green and awesome. So yeah, the pandemic does not have to equal more plastic. Takeout, online ordering is full of plastic, and I have no alternatives. Again, lots of enterprise actually, if you on checkout ask for no plastic, lots of them kind of adhere to it. But also, if you pick more mindfully, you will realize that there is a sea of sustainable enterprises that are happy to ship things to you completely zero waste. Go the extra mile and pack their stuff in paper tape, which is like 10x the price of plastic tape, just to kind of reduce their waste. So try that. But also, instead of buying things, also try maybe this holiday season to experience things with loved ones, whether that's cooking a meal, going for a walk in the park, and just try and find things that also involve no monetary exchange.
Cool. So here are some challenges that you may come across while you're transitioning to a more sustainable lifestyle. So again, this is just a discussion on some of the challenges we have faced, and majority of the people who are transitioning to low waste lifestyles or in the industry of sustainability trying to transition to low waste face. So something like eco-anxiety or anxiety. Many times we find that the problems are too overwhelming or too daunting. And we find that there's a lot of pressure on us then, because a lot of the times the problems have been framed that consumers have to make the change. But also we do understand that government policies, subsidies, tax breaks, and also things like corporations having to take the initiative to provide us with sustainable alternatives is also part of the solution. So framing it in a way that we are the only part of the solution can be very pressurizing, can be very daunting, and that leads to eco-anxiety. But what you can do as a person, as an individual, is literally have control of what you're watching, what you're reading, and what you're absorbing on a daily basis. If you're watching headlines, if you're watching news articles that are just widespread, you might find that there's negativity out there. You might find that news that usually makes money is out there. but instead do your own research and find alternatives and find changes that you can make and businesses that you can support or initiatives that you can support or volunteer organizations that you can volunteer for. And you'll find that there's tons and tons of them. And all of a sudden you'll realize that there is a change happening, and you'll also put into perspective that it is going to take some time for that change to happen, but we need to be part of that change. Sometimes slowing down can be a challenge too. So that's point number 2. So sometimes slowing down can be a challenge. For example, not our entire world is sustainable right now. So if you are making transitions and you find yourself saying, oh man, I forgot my reusable bag accidentally and really, really accidentally, then literally don't be hard on yourself, because that's just a downhill road once you're hard on yourself. You need to realize that, okay, I forgot it this time, next time I will not forget it. And you have to make it a point, or maybe put like a framework or a reminder or something that like reminds you to take your reusable bag with you. So slowing down can be a challenge, but always work around and try to find how you can pick yourself back up pretty much. Sometimes it's just not possible, similar to the last point. Just realize that sometimes it is just not possible because not all the alternatives exist in our world today. But innovation is happening, and we need to be patient with that, but we also need to support that innovation. Don't overburden yourself with solving the world's problems. Do your bit, and it will impact those around you. I think often everyone watching this festival, everyone in this festival, knows all about the problems as well, and we're all like, what I do will not have an impact, or whatever I'm doing might not change the entire world's problems, and what's the point, right? But don't overburden yourself with that. And the moment, again, you take care of your personal care routine or something like that, you realize that your family, your closest family might start asking you questions, and that itself is a win. And the last point, once you start going green, you can't go back. Honestly, like once you start realizing the problems behind a plastic toothbrush, or once you start realizing the problems behind the waste management infrastructure, and how you can really support local communities and how everything is interlinked between people, planet, and profit, there's no way you're going back to unsustainable practices, so to say.
Cool. I think it's time for our DIY.
Yeah, so first we'll do a DIY, then we'll obviously open it up to any live Q&A as well.
Cool. Intro.
Oh. Cool, I'll do the camera.
Oh yeah, you're gonna know. Hi.
All right, guys, so today, just to put it into perspective, we're going to be making a toothpaste. Why are we making a toothpaste?
Because all of us, when we wake up in the morning, presumably brush our teeth, right? So we're going to make toothpaste. And also, this is something that you can make with ingredients that are just native to your own kitchen, that you can recognize, that you can spell, that you can pronounce. An average toothpaste, fun fact or not so fun fact, has 21 different chemicals in it. And I assure you that most of us can't even name like 5 of them. So here's a super easy one. We have equal parts of coconut oil and baking soda, and we're just essentially going to mix them both up and put some peppermint essential oils. You can also add like cinnamon if you like that flavor better, and that's it. Voila, you're ready to go. Okay, it's raining in Bangalore, so our coconut's a little, less liquidy, but that's okay because coconut oil is just one of the most temperature sensitive oils in the world. So this smells so good. We source our coconut oil from Kerala, but yeah, there are amazing entrepreneurs that you can, enterprise that you can support by purchasing. Yeah, so there we go. We've got coconut oil, and then we have baking soda.
We can't hear you at the moment. Just a quick note.
Oh no, you can't hear us?
Oh, now we're good. Now I can hear you again.
Oh, maybe I was covering.
So sorry. Okay, we just added equal parts of coconut oil and equal parts of baking soda. and we're just giving it a good mix. I'm also putting the baking soda in like mini installments.
What is the use of this mixture?
We're making toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
Yes, so we can brush our teeth with it every morning.
Okay.
And this is not packaged in plastic because traditional toothpaste tubes are made from multi-layered plastic, which is basically impossible to recycle.
Here is only two products, coconut oil and baking soda. Only two things. Okay.
Exactly.
And add some flavoring if you'd like. So it can be like peppermint essential oil or ground up cloves, neem, anything that you'd like to add for taste.
Okay. Okay then.
I have a question as well. Can I ask it now about the
Yes,
toothpaste?
totally.
What if you have a bit more sensitive gums? I think baking soda is not so ideal, no?
Yeah, so essentially coconut oil massages your gums. But if you have super sensitive teeth, just like anything in life, you know, try what works and use what works best for you. Coconut oil is actually amazing. You can use it as a process of oil pulling, which is just basically taking coconut oil and gargling for about 15-20 minutes every morning. It's again a practice that's rooted in ancient Ayurveda that works extremely well for dental health. You know, cleanses your mouth, takes out all germs and impurities. So highly recommend coconut oil pulling. Also recommend neem sticks or miswak sticks. Based on where you live, either of the or both of the options will be available, and they're typically 20 rupees a stick. So that these are few options, and then the next few options are tooth powders. So we have an activated charcoal tooth powder, and then we have another clove-based tooth powder. You can purchase them from enterprises, or you can try and source the raw materials and make it yourself again. So these are kind of a gamut of solutions that are zero waste, that aren't coming in those plastic tubes, that are also often less expensive than the store-bought traditional FMCG products that we get. So yeah, try whatever basically works for you, just based on, you know, traditionally like your skincare, hair care. One might have oily hair, one might have dry skin. So, you know, just do what works best for you intuitively, because you are the best judge of that. So just to give you a sense of the consistency, it looks like this. And I'm going to add peppermint essential oil. So you can add, it depends on how strong your essential oil is, but I just did like 7 drops right now. So yeah, there we go. Voila. Smells nice and minty for that fresh minty taste early in the morning. So this is how you make peppermint party toothpaste. Anyone have any questions?
And then we usually just package it in reusable glass jars as well.
Yeah.
So you can just keep repeating that cycle.
Baking soda and the coconut oil, the portion is same?
Yes,
One
equal
per-
parts.
yeah.
And this little jar of about 190 ml lasts me about 2 to 3 months, morning and evening kind of toothbrushing. Any more questions?
Cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it right now. So we're opening it up to any questions now. If you guys have any questions on composting, or you have questions on toothpaste, personal care routines, how to, I don't know, any other questions that you guys might be struggling with in transitioning to a low waste lifestyle, let us know. We'll be happy to kind of answer them to the best of our ability.
Can I answer?
Yeah, go for it.
Can you hear me? Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, one sec, Rohan. Do you stick color lips of any?
Sorry? We can't seem to hear you so well. Do you want to try and
Do you
type
have
up
any
your question?
solution for a homemade lip?
Homemade lip balm.
Oh no, hopefully we might have lost her. Yeah, let's interpret. Lip balm, lipstick, who knows?
Yeah. Lip balm, yeah, you can make some making, using coconut oil, almond oil, shea butters, coconut butters, mango butters, avocado butters, and essentially adding your favorite essential oil. So yes, totally, you can make your own. Even coconut oil, people just use a little bit of coconut oil if they're lazy and don't want to make a full-on lip balm. So yeah, plenty of homemade solutions.
Hey, if I live in a place with hot climate and my coconut oil doesn't sort of become solid, what would I do to like make toothpaste or lip
Yeah.
balm?
So, like I said, coconut oil is one of the most temperature sensitive oils, but what you can do is like pop it in the fridge for a few minutes. You can run it under hot water for a few minutes if you're living in cold climate, for example. Those are few alternatives, but like I said, equally like activated charcoal is also something that we've used traditionally in India. Those are also kind of good alternatives to use. And I personally actually really love activated charcoal with a little bit of this, and that works really well for me. So find what works best for you.
And Laura just sent her question. So it was actually lipstick she asked about, and especially the question about the color. How do you get the color?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can use a little bit of beetroot for like shades of pink, beetroot powder. So you have to grind, dry, and that's one good way of doing that. For reds, you can use annatto, which is like a red clove, more, or you like sindoor powder, but try and use more natural ones. So it's actually derived from annatto, which is this clove that's grown only in India and in Morocco. Yeah, if you're feeling festive and want like a yellow, you can go with a little bit of haldi. So yeah, you can also, if you have like hibiscus flowers, drying those works. If you have blue pea flower and want to add a little bit of beetroot with blue pea flower, again, that needs to be dried and also ground. You get both different shades of purple and red and pink. Those are some good ways to add natural colors to your lip balms or lipsticks.
Great. I'll say thank you on behalf of Laura.
Cool. Any more questions? Happy to answer them. Thanks so much for having us. I hope you all are checking out the amazing lineup of movies and documentaries and events and catching them throughout the festival.
Yeah,
Wait,
I actually.
There's one more question.
Oh, there you go.
So about the toothpaste, right? So we've kind of gotten used to like the fresh minty toothpaste that comes from the market products. And is there any way to kind of recreate that flavor or that sense of mint and get that flavor in the toothpaste?
Exactly. So that's why we added actually peppermint essential oil in this particular toothpaste. And I wish you could smell it. It like smells super pepperminty right now. And I know we all need that to be fresh, minty ready, kissable ready in the morning. So peppermint essential oil is a great thing that you can add in your peppermint barley toothpaste, in coconut oil. Yeah, these are all a couple of options basically. Even just for mouthwash, you can actually add a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of hemp oil, water and peppermint essential oil, and rinse your mouth and gargle your mouth, and it works really well.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any solutions for like natural shampoo?
Yeah, see, actually at our headquarters, I think one is being refilled right now as we speak, is something that is based with shikakai, henna, hibiscus, and actually we work with the producer in Uttarakhand to make it. We haven't quite figured out how to bottle it and sell it everywhere. Right now, we're just doing pilots in our, in Bangalore based for people who want to refill it. But yeah, there are lots of, alternatives. And if you have the option to, experiment and the luxury of time to do it, please do. Another thing that works really well is just soap nuts. So that's Rita. And if you just take soap nuts and you essentially put it in water. So take a big pan of water, this big, take a bunch of soap nuts, Rita, boil it all up and you'll get a very nice natural lathering texture. And then you can strain out the little pods, take out the seeds, and strain it out and essentially use it for your hair wash. And it works perfectly. It works really, really well. Highly recommended. If you can add a little bit of like lavender, essential oil, it just adds some nice little scent to it as well. So,
Cool, thank you. How
sure.
long does it stay?
How long does it stay?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have like about 250 ml at a time. But I also have Longhand Shower Plenty, and my mom also used the same one. So maybe we use one batch like every 2 months. So yeah, do whatever works for you.
So I tried the powdered one, Rita, Avla, Shikakai and all.
Yeah.
But the problem is like you have to soak it for about like 4 hours or so, right?
Yeah. So different things. There are different recipes, so definitely check them out if you're using also Shikakai and henna. There might be different things associated with it. I typically try and also just use the same soap nut or the one that we actually associate from Uttarakhand. Some of them, yes, do require to kind of heat them for 4 hours prior, so then it gets a little difficult and also have a short shelf life. So see what you can do, whether you want to pop it in the fridge and make a small batch for the week, or if you want to just get some shampoo bars and support other small businesses who are making them already. Aloe vera, henna-based ones, shikakai-based ones, hibiscus. These are all kind of great ingredients to look out for in natural shampoos.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Anything to replace washing detergent and clothes softener?
Yeah, so we actually detailed some at Bare Necessities. Our dishwashing agent is again Rita based, which is soap nuts, and it's ground and dried, and we also add a baking soda, etc. to it. For detergents, we use coconut oil based soap that is handmade, cured for 6 weeks, grated, and that is the base of our detergent. Coconut oil is also, this coconut soap, once you make it, is a hard soap, which is also really, really good in terms of a lathering agent, which is the base for our soap. And then we have baking soda, a little bit of borax, etc. And that works as a perfect laundry wash. Yeah, so feel free to support local businesses that are making good products. Equally, you can also make bioenzymes, which work really well for everything, surfaces, glass, floors, toilets, which you just need 300 grams or 3 parts of orange peels, 100 grams or 1 part of jaggery, a pinch of yeast, and 10 parts of water or 10 liters of water. And you can let it sit for about 1 month. You can strain out the peels, and that agent is perfect for using for everything. Like if you want to just put it in your toilet bowl for 20 minutes and then flush, it's perfect. You can use it in a small kind of diluted form to wipe your floors, tables, glasses, washing your clothes and dishes too. So that's a really perfect multi-purpose cleaner that you can use for plenty of things. Hope that helps answer your question.
Thank you.
And you have more workshops like this, right? How can people find you, and what sort of workshops do you offer?
Yes, on barenecessities.in, we have monthly Bare Necessities specific run webinars or workshops, and we have different themes every month: personal care, home care, gifting, clothing, etc. So the list goes on. So find whatever works for you and resonates with you, a topic that you'd like. But equally, we partner with like-minded people because we think that changing mindsets around sustainability and spreading awareness is the first step. So we're actually really transparent about it, like ingredients that we use in our own products. So you don't have to like buy it from Bare Necessities. If you can make it by yourself, great. Because I think the ultimate goal is for less waste to land up in the oceans and the landfills. And we're just so excited that more people want to be part of the solution. So thanks so much for joining us. I hope you try some of these experiments. And if you do, please do tag us on Instagram or social media. And we'd love to kind of learn, share, and cross-share and learn with you guys.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. We're super excited to have had you here at Alt F and have this practical workshop for everyone to take knowledge away and home with them. And we're going to start our next event in about 10-15 minutes. So stay tuned for that. And thank you, Bare Necessities and everyone else. We're keen to keep in touch.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend watching all the movies.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.